Yeah, true. Yeah. That makes sense. Sorry, Mr. Sadhguru, but you're starting again. Yeah, back again. Another episode of A Muslim and an Atheist Breaks Bread. Pot, what you saying?
I'm good, man.
Good. Just before we start, day before my nan's birthday. By the time you watch this, my nan would have turned 100 years old. So this one is for you. That's the only time you're ever gonna hear me do that. So don't get it twisted. So obviously we've been learning about the yugs. To be fair, we haven't been learning about the yugs. We've done one yug and I want to know about all of them. But the one that we did was the last yug. And I found this video talking about the last avatar. So it intrigued me. I would like to know what the last avatar is, who it is, how they come, and how that has relation to time, especially within the Hindu creation story or destruction story, whichever way you want to look at it. So yeah, we're going to listen to my man, Sadhguru. Pat, anything to add before we jump straight in?
Nah, let's go. He's British.
The Kali, which means the age of darkness, in the cycle of the solar system, not in the cycle of the planet, in the cycle of the solar system, it does a cycle in 25,920 years. In this, if you divide it into half, there are 4 yugas and 4 yugas, totally 8 yugas. Only the Kali and the Sat are coming together, paired together, 2 Sat yugas, 2 Kali yugas. But the other 2 yugas, the Dwapar Yuga and Treta Yuga, are separated by Kali and Sat yugas. Now this is… the yuga that we're talking about is significant because of the distance that we create between the solar system and the super sun around which it is going around. The further away that it goes, lesser the intelligence of the beings here. So Kali Yuga is a time when there is maximum distance. Because of this maximum distance, the human intellect is at its lowest. And then, as it starts moving closer, human intelligence…
What do you think about that? The human intellect, the farther you move away from the sun? Because surely they're talking obviously on like the solar system scale, but obviously there's people who…
No, they're talking the effect of the electromagnetic field actually. So when the sun's closer, the effect of the electromagnetic field stronger on people and they…
Right, so, but this is what I'm saying. So does that mean that people who live closer to the equator are smarter than people who don't?
Maybe the scales slightly, you know, when you're talking about 200 and how many years to get round in contrast to if you went round the world, you can do that in a day.
Well, I'm just saying, innit? But you're still close,
It could be.
So you're probably still picking up different frequencies. Just saying.
Well, I would say if there's something in
Do you say that everything came out of Africa?
something in city centre, is it closer to you or Ethan right now?
Ooh.
And that's the kind of distinction we're talking about on that scale.
But them measurements do make a difference.
On the scale.
Them point,
Of course. Difference exists, but on the whole, you'd say Sturchley, city centre, you would break it down to this room.
Yeah, poor science though, guys.
intelligence will begin to blossom. Actually, they go to the extent of saying that human ability to understand and use the electrical and magnetic forces in the human system will get better as it gets closer and get worse as it gets further away. Today you know, your intelligence is essentially how your neurons crackle in the brain.
And they're gonna pick you up.
Yes? If you see a kind of a simulated image of the brain, you will see it's crackling around. Can we put this image? Do we have the brain image, Blue Brain Project?
What is it?
Car over there. Is there a car down there? 8. Is the music? Is there a car by you? Look out the window.
That's not music, that's like people.
That's music, man.
That's screeching. I think it was a school walking down there or something.
It's gone now anyway. So electric firing
you
in the
will
brain,
see
yes.
it's pulsating with crackling like electricity, because how much electrical charge it can carry determines how well you can think, how clearly you can think. One thing that recently the physical scientists have come to, the yogic scientists have been saying this for a long time. The physical scientists…
If someone has brain damage, for example, so they lose the size of their brain and lose some of their thought processes, and so naturally the assumption would be if they were to suddenly…
the size of their brain.
Well, if some gets damaged, so your capacity is down to like you using 90% of your brain function instead of 100% in it.
Yeah.
So it's smaller, but your power system is still the same.
Yeah.
But you're able to do less because of that. Over time, I don't know if you'd straighten it out, but technically you should be a bit dumber, 10% dumber in it.
Because it depends on the damage, doesn't it? I guess that would depend on it.
And the assumption would be if you were to gain 10%, you would be 10% smarter. So again, that would be…
But it's like saying people who have maybe too much are gonna…
The ADHD.
Form, I was just about to say things like ADHD. Even that ADHD, what's the other one? Oh my God, it's where people have seizures.
Schizophrenia.
No, not schizophrenia. Seizures, nothing to do with your thought process. The one where you just have seizures and flashing lights. What's it called, man? Oh my God. Epilepsy. Yeah. Things like that. Like overfiring. Schizophrenia.
That's what I mean. Epilepsy, man.
Yeah, epilepsy. Yeah. So if you've got too much, if your brain can't process it right. But this is what I'm saying, it depends on the damage that's done to the brain, really, because he's talking about the electrical stuff. But I think when you've got brain damage.
But if you can boost your brain 3,000 and it's 100%, and you damaged your brain, lost 10%, and you can boost it 3,000%, you should be able to come back from brain damage easy, innit? With a greater electrical charge, but maybe that charge, because we're getting it, sun, electrical, electromagnetic, makes us move and do what we're doing in it technically.
Yeah.
So if they could recreate that effect, any brain damaged person could be repaired.
Could be cured.
Any. Unless it's not true and it's just hype. But in theory, you can fix 3,000% a lot.
I've come to this, they are saying, looking at the physical laws that rule the solar system, they feel there is no room for further development of human brain.
Further development.
Why this is so is, if you increase the size of the neurons, it will become more capable, but it will take too much electricity. Right now as you sit here,
more power.
20% of the energy is being spent in your brain. 20% of the calories are right now being burnt in your brain. Remaining 80% for such a big part of your body 20% is spent only here in your brain.
Man,
Because
if you damage 10%, you'd still have the power for that 10%, even though the brain didn't work. So if you increased it, it shouldn't do you no real harm either, then should it really?
No, because it depends, doesn't it? Because what you have to think about is when we're talking about power, we're talking about mass, and we're talking about...
No, electrical power, innit? That's what
Yeah, but
drives
your
the brain.
electric comes from your cells. So what I'm saying to you is, if you damage those cells,
Yeah.
you're not going to get the energy from it.
Right, but the thing that energizes it isn't damaged. So your
Yeah, but
stomach is your engine room, and then your brain is your cognitive
Yeah,
function.
it's kind of... The only
So
thing
you
I can
damage the
equate to,
brain,
though-
you're still able to generate the same amount of power in your engine room, but your brain can't function in 10%. But what he's saying is to get that 3,000, you need to have a bigger stomach, effectively, more fuel.
Yeah, you'd have to be able to fuel
Right,
it,
so
fuel
this is
it,
what I'm
yeah.
saying. That person with the damaged brain still has a big engine, right? So
Yes.
technically, if they evolve their electric power input, they should be able to go not 3,000, they only need to go 200 or 100 to get back that 10% that they're missing. They should be able to do it because they've already got the capacity in their engine to deliver it.
Yeah, I think the 3,000 thing, I'm not sure about that.
Up
yet,
to
be
that.
honest.
He's
But
not
yeah,
saying anybody can do it.
But yeah. But the only thing that I can equate to, obviously being diabetic, right, is when we deplete. So obviously the engine room is like what you eat, and it like if you eat sugar or whatever, that's going to fuel your brain. So in my body gets depleted, and if let's say I've got too much insulin and I go into like a hypoglycemic episode, my body starts to shut down first, but then once my body's depleted of all the sugar, it starts to attack my brain, and so once it starts to attack that brain, it's like
Damages it.
yeah, it definitely damages it, like irreparably. You can feel it. If you have like a major incident,
Like a headache, a hangover, but
You-
more.
you literally come back like slightly slower. Maybe just not as, but it doesn't go away. Like you
Well,
can feel
you
that.
know they say dementia is stage 3 diabetes, right?
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I've
So
definitely
they've
getting
linked dementia directly to its stage 3 diabetes.
Why are you trying to ruin my day?
Right? It doesn't mean you're gonna get dementia. They're just saying
I'll
that's what it
100%
is.
get dementia on now.
That's what
No, I will.
that's what they've said. Dementia is stage 3 diabetes.
They also
Don't know where I got
also
that
say
from.
they also say it's caused by plaque in your teeth, and then you've got I can't remember what they're called in your brain as well. That cause it that they can only do. But what I'm trying to say is that I think that damage that's done to the brain. Because I can still eat, but the damage has already been done.
Yeah,
There's
it's
no
still
like
losing
boosting it
1-2%.
back.
It's like
Yeah, there's no boosting it back.
the sea washing land away in it. So erosion, there's an erosion taking, a constant erosion taking. It's
Yeah.
not taking all of it, just washes bits away that
100%.
you either have to replenish or replace or leave. You know, so obviously, like I said, again, where you store memory and all those things, it depends which bit of the brain goes on. If it just one bit of the brain goes for everybody, starts in the same place, or it's just different for everybody.
No, it'd be different. Like I think, well, again, it depends on how the brain's damaged. Doesn't
Yeah,
it?
but let's say it was a diabetic now, and they again,
Oh, if it's so
as
if
a
we're talking about-
consequence of too much insulin and they're doing the coma, and the damage that comes from that, I wonder if it's the same damage for every.
I think it
diabetic
would. I
person.
think it would attack just certain
Exact
parts
same
of
place,
the
innit?
brain. I think so, but I'm not sure. That's a good question, to be honest. I'm not 100% sure. I think it would be the same.
Because then that would prove that it's really happening if you could actually map it against people rather than it just being a theory, innit?
Yeah.
There's one case, but everybody or a bunch of it. You know, interesting question.
Yeah.
Go on, Sadhguru.
brain is a high power consuming part of your body. Suppose your brain became this big, you would need too much energy, you would need such a big stomach
And a big
to
head.
accommodate that. I know some of you are trying, but it doesn't work that way. That's not the way it works. If you create such a big brain, you will not be able to supply power to it. If you increase the number of neurons,
Stop again, I'm
Then
gonna jump in there. Whoa,
you
so let's go back to when people was big, or these big people then.
Yes.
They would have had to have significantly greater brain capacity than us, innit? So
No.
Nephilim, because
Oh, them, yeah, well,
bigger engine, bigger
Yeah.
brain. They
I thought he was going to say Neanderthals, but yeah. Go on.
no, well, I don't know about no Neanderthal, no African Neanderthal, bro. I keep telling you that stuff. You
Go
know,
on.
but their brain must have, according to that theory, they must have known a hell of a lot more. Again, which way, if they did build pyramids and stuff, would again explain some of that knowledge and why they would be able to do stuff like that.
Not really, because they were giants. So
But
essentially,
bigger brain, bigger engine,
no, but it would have been relative, wouldn't it?
huh?
Because they're bigger, so it all depends on if they're still sending 80% to the body and 20% to the brain. Do you see what I mean? It would have been relative, but then you could say no, it's not relative because obviously we're quite big. But if you look at ants, but ants have got big brains for their body size, so
Well, your brain's big enough to do what you need to do in it ultimately, or you evolve.
the thing is, our brain, the size of our brain, really comes down to the fact of a biological trade-off, and it does everything we need to do. But ultimately, if we had bigger brains, right, we wouldn't be able to come out the womb. Like, unless our brains developed and grew that much later on in life. But essentially, like, the reason why we're the size we are, the reason why we can't, like animals can walk as soon as they're born, it's because they're developed more inside. Like, if we imagine this, like if we were people and your
Because
mum,
they need to.
but but we needed to as well at some point. When we lived in the savannah, we needed to be able to run, walk, like, do you know what I'm trying to say, from predators.
I disagree. Animals, like I say.
No, but let me land. So, imagine if you was born when you could actually walk. You'd be 2 years
could
old.
walk when
You'd be
you're born.
1 year old. Now imagine a woman giving birth to a 1-year-old baby. She'd die every time.
I'm gonna say I probably believe some woman's giving birth to a 1 year or 10 months, 1 year ain't really that much apart.
No. That's 9 months carrying. Babies don't walk after 10 months. innit?
10 months is the gestation period, so the whole thing is a 10-month cycle. That's from the initial spark
Yeah, so sometimes
to
it's
thing.
9 months, then add another year onto that.
For what?
Because
That's
babies don't
two,
walk.
innit?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's not
not
a
two.
baby. That's a monster by 2 years.
This is
old.
what I'm trying to say. That's why.
But I believe a woman could carry.
For 2 years.
Yeah.
No chance.
If they can
no
carry
chance.
twins, triplets, and quads, they must be able
No
to.
chance. No chance. Think about how big a 2-year-old is.
Man. Yo,
A 2-year-old is not coming
have
out.
you seen some women's bellies, bro? And a little 5-pound baby comes out. You think there's like a whole village in there, never mind a baby. But yeah. But back to Nephilim, bigger body, more fuel to generate that. I can see the relativity with that argument. Yeah, so.
Do you know what it's like? It's almost like we talk like, when people say about, look at gorillas. Gorillas are vegan. They only eat plants. I'm like, yeah, but that's all they do. They have to sit down for 23 hours in a day or something
To put enough fuel in.
to put enough fuel in just so they can go and
Find the
buck
next
up
spot.
on a woman. Yeah, to
Well,
walk for
find
like
the
10
next
minutes.
spot, innit?
Find the next spot, find a female. That's it. That's all they do. Like, we expend a lot of energy. So that's why it's kind of like, I'm saying, yeah, you can be a vegan if you want, man, but don't think like
I don't know.
your life's like a gorilla. You're just going to be sitting there eating all day, eating veg all day to fuel yourself.
Like I say, it's relative in it. So a horse does what a horse does, but a horse will do what you want it to do as well. A gorilla just won't do what you want it to do.
Yeah.
So it's not that that's all it does. It might be able to do a head of a lot more. It's just you can't make it do anything more. Whereas with a horse, you can break it and have it running around, running races, doing all sorts of things.
Yeah, I see that.
But brain and brain capacity and neuron energy. Yeah, let's go back to the big man, see what he's saying.
Would still do better with the same amount of power. But if you increase the number of neurons, then the way it is packed right now, the clarity of signals will go away. This is the case with many hyperactive children. The number of neurons in their brain is higher than normal. They are brilliant, but scattered all over the place. They can't think straight. They're brilliant in spurts, but nothing comes out of it because there is no clarity. So if you increase the size, it doesn't…
I'm gonna go with internet. So when it was 56K, you could connect, but it was slow and rubbish, and now with this high-speed broadband,
5G.
the clear information's clearer. It can think it's doing exactly the same thing. It's just everything's flowing much faster and through. I think that's what he's saying, how it would happen to us. We go from 56K up to high-speed internet.
Well, what I think he's trying to say is like, because he's just used about, we can't essentially have bigger brains or more neurons
Without fuel.
All what we're talking about really is efficiency of the brain. Like, how efficient is the human brain right now? So when he's talking about evolution, again, it's just what words you use. He mentioned the brain couldn't evolve. So what I'm saying to you is, if you say the brain won't evolve, then what are we talking about? Are we talking about as individuals? Because remember, we have to also relate this to the yugas. The yugas are 2,580. There's 8 of them. That's a long time, right?
But this is the last one, so…
Yeah, so this is the last one. But what I'm saying is, we are only a portion of our individual lifespan.
Yeah.
So obviously our brains can't evolve. However, the human race brain…
But it's the starting point, isn't it?
be able
So
to
we
evolve.
come in as a higher level. Depending on where it is on the cycle.
Yeah,
So you will come in relative to where you are in that thing. So it doesn't really matter. Everybody else will be higher as well or lower. It's not
at the
just
same.
you who does that. So the whole world is higher or lower as a direct. So you would just fit in and do what you're doing anyway. It would be like everybody would be low and then one person would be high. It would be everybody would be high or everybody would be low.
Well, this is what I'm saying. So if we're talking about… So everyone's high and everyone's low in it. So again, it's relativity. But what I'm saying to you is, like, you have to be relative to everything. Like, we're talking about… Oh, my maths is terrible. It's like 16,000 years more than that. It's like 20,000 years he's talking about, right?
At least.
That's for the cycle of the I don't know what order
Yogi.
them together. Yeah,
Yogi.
The yogi cycle, right? So in essence, but we're only here for like 100 years.
If we're lucky.
So my brain is obviously not going to evolve. So therefore, I need to be able to make my brain more efficient. Now, if pumping that full of more energy is going to make it more efficient, I don't know, because as you said, you've got ADHD.
That's what it's saying.
No, he's not saying that. That's what I'm saying. But they're the two options. Anyway, what he's saying. He said before, the mode of apparatus was you either have more energy or bigger, so you have more neurons or faster. But it's not that. It's making it more efficient.
It might be that everybody starts with a 3 liter, but we only know how to run 1,400, so you can make it more efficient because it's capable of becoming more efficient.
Yeah.
It's just we don't know how to get it more efficient, so everybody could be built so that you get the highs and lows in and it works. Your engine is big enough to cater for it. But because we only know how to run 1400 of it, then we're always saying, oh, higher, lower. We can only use these terms because we can't quantify it exactly where we are in that high-low cycle of thinking. But maybe everybody starts with a 3 litre or a 4.2. So, but we're just on.
But that in itself is an argument, isn't it? Like, what is intelligence? How do you know if you're more intelligent than someone else? So from what mode of apparatus?
Isn't it collective intelligence that counts, though, rather than more intelligent? Isn't it as intelligent as we all can be that is real intelligence rather than individual intelligence?
Yeah, I guess so.
You know, pulling the water from the well is hard, but if you have one person pulling the rope and the other person, it makes it simpler, ain't it?
Yeah, definitely. Teamwork makes the dream work, baby.
Right.
Alright, let's jump in.
Work. If you increase the number, it doesn't work. So they're saying according to the physical laws, it is not possible for human brain to evolve further, but we can learn to use it better. Right now, the way we're using it is a very mediocre way. See, that's an electric charge. So increasing the size of the brain or increasing the number of neurons are not possible, so they're coming to this conclusion that human intelligence cannot be enhanced, but it can be better used. Right now, the way we are using it is very mediocre. If more sophistication comes to the way you use it, you can increase your brain power, they're saying approximately 3,000 times than the way it is right now.
See, 3 litre engine.
3,000 times more intelligent than the way you are right now would be incredible, isn't it? 3 times more would be fantastic.
1,600 better than 1,400 in it.
So we can learn to use it better, but we cannot evolve this brain further because the physical laws don't permit it. The yogic sciences have said this long time ago.
So, next example from real world. We've been driving since 19, can't fly a car yet though, can they? So even though we've got the brain, the technology and everything, there are some things that step into flying cars hasn't happened yet. So technically they've been having this ambition for years, and that would be an demonstration. When we get to flying cars, then we've evolved, then it technically.
Yeah, but
or going back to the 4-minute mile when Bannister
technically,
ran
isn't a
it.
flying car just a plane?
Sorry?
Isn't a flying car just a plane?
No. Plane is a public mode of transport generally. There are 1 and 2 millionaires who can have private planes, but generally it's public transport.
Yeah, but isn't that just cost and efficiency?
Yeah,
not the possibility of actually doing it.
The transport, well, I think they can do it. So they could make a car that is a plane, but the cost would be prohibitive.
I think, yeah, this is what I was going to say.
Right, so what they have to be able to do is make a car at a car price that does what a plane does, innit? So that is what they don't have the technology to do. It's not the other way around. They can make a car fly, they just can't make it at a price that makes it affordable to the average man.
Okay.
Or they don't want to. But to me, that will be a technological leap because we've been waiting for flying cars. Like flip phones, Star Trek, all this is 1960, 1950 stuff, and it still hasn't really fully manifested. Tablets, flip phones, a lot of it we've seen.
Yeah.
So once we get into, well, the electric car is also theoretically supposed to be a leap, except we had electric cars in 1930. So they're saying, oh, technologically we've moved forward. No, we haven't. You purposely stopped building electric cars to sell gasoline. So again, that leap, age will be recognized as a leap, whereas the reality is it was happening 100 years before. It's just they chose not to make society.
To the masses, yeah, definitely.
So this is what I'm saying. You can leap, but conditions and it control that and what you do as a whole, as a planet. No new brain. Brain's not more powerful, even though we years down the road, they still ain't got electric cars on wholesale, and they got exactly the same now as 1930s. The distinction now is in 1930 you didn't have to pay for electric. Now you have to pay for electric.
Yeah. Okay.
That human intelligence and human body cannot be developed further because we have reached… the physical laws have reached this limit, because the way the earth rotates around the sun and the way the moon cycles around the earth, all these things we have reached. Human body has reached that potential. It cannot go further. But at the same time, yogic sciences once again say, but your ability to use it can be enhanced by doing a variety of things. One of the things that we spoke about just now is brahmacharya. That is, you can generate that kind of energy in the system that if you had 10 brains, it could still power it. If you have 25 brains, it could still power it. You could sit here and power 1,000 brains which are sitting around you by generating the necessary energy, by raising the kundalini, by bringing your energies to full force. You can power 1,000 brains if you want. That much energy is there. So we said…
Call it 0 point
there are sages
generator.
who are referred to as people who had 1,000 hands, 10,000 hands. Why it is being said is, what 10,000 men could do, one man is doing. In many ways, modern technology just represents that, you know. But in a much more internalized way, a human being can be in such a way that his intelligence could cover for 1,000 people, or 10,000 people, or 1,000,000 people, because there is another way of generating more efficient energy within the system. The scientists are looking at how body generates energy in its normal condition, and they're saying, if you have a little bigger brain, you won't be able to supply power to it. But there are other ways to generate, and you don't need a bigger brain, you don't need more neurons, you need more energy. If you had more energy, more refined energy, you would see, if you had to light this hall, there was a time you need…
Leave it, man.
5,000 watt bulbs we were using.
I'm waiting for it to come.
Today, you use 100 watt halide, it's on. Now, this hall is going to get… one of our meditators is sending it from United States to us. He manufactures the very powerful LED lamps. These bulbs are 12 volt, okay? 12 volt bulbs, they're going to light up the whole hall. This was unthinkable just 5 years ago. With 12 volt bulbs, you're going to light up such a big hall? We are going to do it. So with very little power, we are lighting up things because the way we…
See what he's saying? It was unthinkable. Whereas the reality, they had bulbs in the pyramids. What volt was them ones? We don't know, so we're saying it's unthinkable. Dismissing the past and the real story behind bulbs and lights, making his point, more power, more light, more efficient technology, more light. But it's not a bigger brain, because it's still the same light from that they was using originally. And it's just different technology.
And it still would have been unthinkable, wouldn't it? Because I guess not a lot of people would have known until recently that they had bulbs in the pyramids. You see what I mean? So
yeah, but that's just misinformation.
Yeah, but I'm saying it would have been unthinkable, innit? But I get what you're saying. It's the same, but it's like accessibility, isn't it? I guess like the unthinkable, the difference between the unthinkable and the thinkable. Because there's a load of things now. We've got the internet, we've got the world in our palms, innit? So things now that you might have thought, nah, that's impossible, are very possible.
Like getting into space is impossible.
Well, again,
most things are possible. They can't, they're making, cloning people, doing all sorts of things. So genetically and technologically, they're down at a level, crashing particles and doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things. But it's not from a position of knowing. It's a position of testing and
testing, 100%.
finding out to again raise international consciousness. When they've done it, then the Indians can do it, or the Chinese can do it. Similar to Silicon Valley, they created it in America. Got all the people, brains from all around the world, then they've all gone on with their technology and left America naked. So it can be raised, in my opinion, generally, but it just takes managing. Whereas, yeah, you can raise, but people aren't smarter because they came up with Silicon Valley. It didn't make everybody smarter. It was just introduced this new theme, and this particular group of people specialized in it.
Yeah, but they were trained in it, weren't they?
But has it made everybody smarter? Because all people can use computers now. Are they smarter?
No, I don't think. Oh, can you even make people smarter? It's like I said, isn't it? Like, how do you measure intelligence? Because ultimately, people view intelligence different. Like, the way I view the world, I might look at someone and think that's basically, you could have the same story and get two completely different things from it, and neither of them are wrong. And that's the problem with like the IQ test. Then, if we're going back to individuals and not collective, it's actually how
good you are at tests.
So essentially what they did was did the IQ test, which was a Western standard test made for Westerns. Then they took it to Africa and Africans, and that's how they were able to label the whole continent not as smart as themselves. So what I'm saying to you is it's all just perception,
psychometric,
what you think.
Again, tools to me, but like I say, raising vibrations and things, I'm still gonna say modern house, Neolithic house. And a man's got a house, one made it out of wood, now we make it out of concrete. Is it more intelligent that man didn't have concrete at that time? He's not less intelligent, just didn't have concrete at that time in it, whereas now you got concrete and they know that wood perishes. Or does it? They know certain things that they apply to these things. Car tires, yes, they can make them so they don't perish, but it's not in their interest, is it? So they make them so they're perishable. And that's, if you're measuring intelligence, like I said, India is full of monuments, relics, evidence sitting there in front of your face, but the people who live there have no idea who or how. They just, oh wait, this stone moves and turns. So where did all that intelligence disappear to when the whole billions of people in India and not 5 of them know how that stuff occurred? So to me, that again would be proof that at some point, and his argument is at some point we're further away. Is it at some point there's a cataclysm and we lose everything, or do we really become dumber when we're further away? Evidence suggests, or theology suggests, cataclysm, flood, fire, destruction by God. His Hindu theory is saying, well, now man just gets dumber over time, effectively, and forgets everything, and then it comes back around. They get smart, they get dumb, they get smart. No cataclysm, no God, no killing everybody off. But Christianity as a doctrine is all about fear and manipulation. This is presenting the idea of thought without fear or intimidation, saying this is a natural process. We get smarter and dumber. We get more able to control our kundalini when the sun's here, and we get less able to do it when you're here. Sounds like that to me. Christian, if you don't do this, you're in the fire. Completely. It's a big stick difference. Anyway, there's my theory. Cracker.
That was good though. I like that. It's good. That was a good...
Use the power and the refinement of how it happens enhances our ability to use it. What goes for a LED lamp definitely goes for human body and human brain. So that's what yoga is constantly exploring. So Kalki is to come to end the age. To end the age of darkness, he's supposed to come. See, the nature of time is such, nobody need to begin it, nobody need to end it. It goes on anyway. Nothing may happen to you in your life, but time will pass, isn't it? There's one thing you can be guaranteed of. In case you get some boon and become immortal, you may even become immortal, but you can't stop time from passing on, isn't it? So nobody has to begin an age and end an age. It
Can we
is just
stop there?
that
Immortality. How can time exist in the concept of immortality?
Because you can be immortal, but it doesn't mean that everything else doesn't have a beginning and an end. Like time is just a measure of
Yeah,
a
so
measure of
for
life.
you, time wouldn't exist because you don't have a beginning and an end, you're just there in it, so why would there be any time?
Well, you'd have a beginning, so there would. Well, I guess if you're immortal, time doesn't exist.
Well, even if I made you immortal now,
Yeah.
Aaron, you're immortal, right? As of that point forward, why would you need a watch, bruv?
Well, I guess you wouldn't need one, would you? Realistically,
You don't need to
one.
shave no more. You don't need to, all your bodily functions. You're immortal.
But it's kind of
Other
like,
than going and getting grace from nursery,
I was
which
just
is
about to say, it's
other
more,
people's world, but in your world, you wouldn't need to be conscious of time.
No, social, but it's social measurements, isn't it? Because, like you say, it's like saying, well, why do we all work in the day and not the night? Or why do we eat cereal in the morning and not the afternoon? It's just social measurement. So if you was immortal, yeah, you wouldn't have to abide by them things because it wouldn't matter. But time would still be passing. Like
For the mortal, but not for the immortal.
But there would still be time.
Yeah, because you'd
there's
have a
still
wife and
measurement.
they would die, and then you'd get an
Yeah,
ex-wife.
so
Because
it's a
after a
measurement.
while, you'd know that, I don't have a wife. I have
Even if
wives.
even if you didn't have a wife,
Have you
there
seen
would
that Will
still
Smith
be
film?
time. Hitch.
What is it? That
Hancock.
Hancock.
Yeah.
Hancock, right?
Yeah.
In Hancock now, same scenario, right? Man's immortal. He's got banged out. He can't remember nothing. What's the relativity of time to him? He's doing the same thing anyway. Whether he's
day.
banged out, mashed up or not. The only time became relative is when his partner said, well, we used to be together and you're not alone. Mm-hmm. And then he had commonality. But up to that point, him on the bench, drunk,
Time didn't
matter.
Yeah.
It's just there doing it. He can't die, can't anything. So, but for the kid on the bench, Hancock, you bum, can't you see this happening? You're supposed to this and that. Will Smith, best acting role. But this is what I say, for an immortal, it would change the whole dynamic. You wouldn't have to have time. We only have time because we're
finite.
not mortal.
Yeah, we're finite.
So we're measuring, how much can we get in? But for the immortal, get it in any time.
No, I agree with that. Obviously, if it was immortal, time wouldn't have any relevance to anything you did. It just wouldn't matter because I'm always gonna have the option to do it again. But that's what they're saying. Time's your most precious commodity because we know that we
Immortal.
as people can't get it back. Whereas if you can't lose it, then it doesn't really have any value. It's just there, isn't it? It's like almost like breathing. We don't value air.
Yet.
Yet.
they said Kalki will come on a white horse, winged. So if horse has wings, it's a no good horse. Horse should have good legs. No? Am I saying something wrong? A horse should have 4 good legs, that's a good horse. A horse which has wings is a lousy horse. Yes or no? So obviously, they were talking about a white horse metaphorically, not as a horse. It is a metaphoric thing, that brightness will arrive. When the age passes, the darkness will move out and brightness will arrive, and it will destroy the darkness. If the hall is dark right now, if I turn on a light, does it destroy the darkness? What is spoken metaphorically? What is expressed dialectically? Foolish scholars or exploiters along the way make it all into black and white facts, made-up facts. It is a metaphorical expression. As the solar system moves, it moves into a dark phase, and as it moves out, light arises. It will rain upon us. Even if you don't want to be, suddenly your brain will crackle and work better because you moved into a different age. As we were saying this yesterday, even today, even in a comic book, even in a child's mind, my intelligence worked means
Alright,
light.
stop.
Yes or no?
Right, let's say it's not like light, it's like rain.
Okay, go on. Expand.
So rain falls, wets up everywhere, but not everybody gets wet. And some people are under shelter when it's raining, so they never experience the water or the wetness. And would that be the same as what he's saying, this enlightenment? You have to be there to actually acquire it, or if you're standing under a shelter, you can't get it. You know, in a light room, if you're standing in a tent, in a room that's lit up, you're still in darkness, innit?
Yeah.
So darkness can still, wherever light can't penetrate, then it can't change nothing. So similarly, if we as people are in a dumb thing and the light can't penetrate, then how can we become more intelligent? If you get my meaning.
Hold on. I'm just trying to think.
Well, not everybody, because rain doesn't get everybody. This is, and I can't see that light would get everybody exactly the same at the same time. Because some people just ain't gonna get it.
It depends on it, because if we're talking about, let's not use light, let's use sound, right? So you may not even be able to feel or hear, the sound, but the vibration is still gonna touch you. Do you see what I mean? So you may not be able to hear it, but the frequency or the vibration will still run through your body.
You don't see the lightning, you just hear the thunder kind of thing.
Yeah, so I guess if you use rain, then no. But like when we're talking about light, we have to remember what he's using light metaphorically as, like, to be enlightened, which also just means all you're doing is raising your vibrations.
Yeah, again, I'm trying to use it metaphorically. I understand that. What I'm saying
the
is,
vibration should be able to touch
if you
everybody.
use light as the example and take into line that light travels in straight lines,
Yes.
you can't penetrate everything.
100%.
Vibrations, everything is made of vibration. So if there is a vibration, everything reacts to it anyway by default. So whereas penetration isn't vibration, is it? It's just everybody can't get the light, because if you've got something blocking, you're not going to get the light, which means you don't get the intelligence raised, a vibration. Everybody will pick it up.
But I guess that is essentially what happens, isn't it?
The vibration.
No. Just, well, a vibration, or if we're talking about light and being enlightened and everyone getting it. But what it is it's external factors. So people aren't being enlightened because of technology or because of, cost of living crisis, or, just trying to look after their family. So they're being, it's not that the light can't penetrate. Well, yeah, them things they were blocking them vibrations to the people. What's the word of the day? Resistance.
That's your word of the day. Maybe
Resistance.
tag on your t-shirt. Yeah, there's...
Isn't it so?
Sorry,
I got a bright
sorry.
idea. Bright idea, not a dark idea. Understand? Because intelligence, always human beings have associated with light. So, the scripture said, once the solar system moves out of this, a brightness will arise. This is very beautifully expressed. In the different yugas, human beings use different dimensions of intelligence, different dimensions of communication. In the Satyuga, mind will be more important. Mind, not intellect, mind will be more important. Probably this is the only culture where we make a distinction between mind and intellect. Today, modern scientists have started doing it for the first time in the last decade or so. Otherwise, mind was just one thing. So, the mind will be the main thing of communication and living. That is, if I want to say something to you, I don't need a microphone, nor do I have to shout at you like this. If I think about this, you get it. In Satyuga, people barely spoke because mind was the means of communication. Everything that had to be done was just done mentally. Because it was all done mentally. They say even conception happened mentally. They go to the extent of saying, there was no physical conception, it happened mentally.
Damn.
Then, when they moved into the Treta Yuga, eyes became important. So you will see when life moved into Treta Yuga, the language of people who lived in Treta Yuga are talking always about… One of the basic greetings in India was, "I see you." I think recently this Hollywood movie made this very popular, "I see you," Avatar. The basic greeting in this country was, "I see you."
I like this.
Okay, you see me, so what? No, that's not it. "I see you" means I see you through and through. So Treta people use their eyes powerfully. This is called as netra sparsha, that you can touch somebody with your eyes. When it moved further down, the breath became very important. We were already looking at this probably today morning or yesterday, that wherever the life energies are very high, there you will see your sense of smell will become very, very strong and sensitive. You will see this in the forest. Your sense of smell is more important than your eyes, ears and your brain. You know. Really.
That's not true.
So now, you know, probably is, you know, if you think about things that live in the forest, the smell is impeccable because they have to be able to smell things before they even see them, innit? So you'll see a lot of, again back to
that's because
animal
we
nature.
ain't them, so we can always say what they can or can't do. The fact is we don't really know if they're smelling jack, and what they're smelling is our crap, probably, mostly. So in the forest, yeah, when it was, you know, the old earth replenishing itself, dead bodies on top of dead
Just like
bodies.
being downwind, isn't it? It's like just smelling just what's downwind, isn't it, I guess. That's probably more important than being able to see. Actually, I don't know about that.
Well,
But
if you're in
to
the
be able to
forest, you
see.
want to get out, I think you need to be able to see, bro. You know, smelling your way out isn't an option. So if you're smelling the trees, yeah,
It's like
great
that
to
for
smell.
moles. Like there's animals who only smell and can't see at all.
But
and
don't they
survive.
leave scents and stuff? Don't they have a method of moving along in
But
their
everyone's got a natural sense, haven't they? So if I went and stood in the forest, animals are going to know I'm in the forest without even seeing me.
But
See what I'm saying?
a
But if
mole
I had
might
no
not
smell,
necessarily know.
but yeah, but-
unless one's there.
maybe. But if I had no smell, and then I went and stood in the forest and no one's seen me, then no one's seen me, and like it don't matter. They don't know I'm there. But
Yeah, but his point was, you know, about senses heightening and
yeah,
being in the forest. To me, I'm saying all your senses are relative. A blind man in the forest is a blind man in the forest. A blind man in the city is a blind man in the city. His senses don't heighten or lessen. He's blind all the
no,
time.
I disagree because I feel like people, and actually it's a fact. This is a fact that people who are blind do have heightened other senses.
Okay,
So can
that
hear.
bit I'm not saying. I'm saying a blind man in the forest is a blind man in the forest. It's not that he doesn't have heightened senses. I'm gonna say he doesn't have heightened senses. I think anybody in the forest would have heightened senses is the reality.
No, I'm in the forest. Yeah.
And you go in the forest, new environment. You didn't. The smell's funny anyway. Your senses become attuned like darkness. You adjust to darkness, and it come from a light room into dark. Your eyes adjust. So for the animals that live there or people that live there, that's normal. But for you, it becomes your norm because human, adaptable, and we adjust. Which, if you want to use that word, evolve, might be a good place for it. We evolve the situation.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Means you can just know what's happening with the person. In the sense, now a month ago, we had the fortune of having a guest in the ashram who was a king cobra. Now, he uses his tongue to taste you from a distance. He knows the chemistry of who you are. Well, myself and a few of the brahmacharis are handling this. He looks like a pet cobra. He's just playing with him. But he's not a pet, he is deadly. If he can move so quickly, and if he bites you, you have just 8 to 10 minutes. So you have just 8 to 10 minutes, that's all it gives you.
Antidote.
It's deadly. It has enough venom to kill an elephant. But we are at ease with it because we understand that if you don't create the wrong chemistry in your system, he is fine with you. Cobra is the only creature who is so sensitive to your chemistry. All carnivorous animals and almost all wild creatures are sensitive to your chemistry, but particularly a snake is super sensitive. You can go in the wild and just pick up a venomous snake like this, not by the head catching like this, no, just like this. He will simply come if you are at total ease. If you show a little anxiety, if your chemistry shows little anxiety, little fear, that's it, he'll go for you. Because he instantly knows what is happening in your system. So, he's perceiving this in a certain way. The reason why the yogis are always keeping a cobra next to them and the Shiva has cobra next to him is, in terms of the creatures that are available on this planet, a cobra has maximum amount of etheric aura around him. That means he is fabulous perception. So, for perception, this particular animal is helpful and his perception is something that all yogis bow down to because his perception is even better than most human beings ever can be because of the etheric aura that he creates around himself. So you will see in the story there are many tribes which call them Nagas, they have the necessary sadhana going to generate a certain amount of etheric aura so that they can perceive what others cannot perceive. Because only what you perceive you know, the rest is all rubbish. Yes?
I know, that just makes me wonder if that connects to the Ethiopian kingship, why they call them Nagas, Naga, the Naga perception, being able to perceive everything, king of kings and all. I wonder if there's any relativity there. Well, that was my thoughts. I'll check that out. Naga.
It may be said by me, it may be said by a god, it may be written in a scripture, but it is all rubbish unless you perceive it. These dimensions of perception, mental perception, visual perception, by smell, and now, when it comes to Kali, human beings become totally verbal, their mouth becomes the biggest thing. So you need to understand this. The solar system is going through the yugas like this. If you are in tune with it, you are also going with these yugas. If you are above it, you can stay wherever you want. If you are stuck in your own things, the planet may be in Satyuga, you may be in your Kali Yuga. So every individual is still free to either transcend the yuga or be trampled by the yuga or ride the yuga as it is. All the three possibilities are there. So Kali or the end of the Kali, Kalki is supposed to come down on a white horse with wings. Don't get yourself a horse with wings, get yourself a horse with legs. This is funny, isn't it? But it was metaphorically spoken because the light or the intelligence need not necessarily come from you, it is coming because of a heavenly possibility, because the solar system is moving out of that phase. Your intelligence will come out bright and it's a gift from nature. It is dropping upon you. It is a celestial gift. Because it's a celestial gift and there are certain constellations which are seen as a flying horse. You know this? There are certain constellations which are seen as a flying horse. They said it will descend upon you and destroy your darkness. If you want to destroy darkness, nobody needs to fly on a horse and come down. If you just turn on a small light, darkness gets destroyed. Darkness is the most fragile thing. But even that people can't get rid of because they're employing wrong methods. Suppose we turn off the lights and it's dark and you decide, suppose this hall is dirty, if I tell you clean it up, all of you with great enthusiasm, if you go, probably in 15 minutes' time you can have the hall cleaned up. Now the hall is dark, then I tell you, get this damn darkness out. If all of you go with great enthusiasm, till you die, if you do, still it will not go. But if you turn on a light, it will go. That is the nature of darkness. That is why a light being on a flying horse came down and took away the darkness. Unless you have still allowed it to live within you.
Okay, so first lesson, don't buy horses with wings. Now obviously that's a metaphor, but yeah, so I feel like we need to really maybe do some more on this subject, because I got lost in that, I'm not gonna lie. I was getting lost in the has Kalki arrived? So had they arrived or not? Apparently there is no Kalki. This is what I got from that. Kalki is just…
age.
And it was just an expression of what's going on
Well,
at the time.
if you do astrotheology, you'll see that it's about Christ consciousness. It's not about Christ the man or Christ. It's about mankind achieving Christ consciousness, which is a state of thought, and that's exactly what he's talking about there. But since that comes from Hinduism, it's probably the same thing.
Yeah.
So that tree of life and everything that we're moving towards is man achieving Christ consciousness, which is where we all get to exit this body and live at the next level. 5D, fifth dimension living.
Yeah.
So all the dimensions and everything are all relative to these yogis and Kalis and everything. Same thing, just expansion of the mind. But like I said, I think if you look at it, tree of life and the way that all these things is, it can only expand to a certain thing. It can't, which is what he's saying. And the tree of life is like, after an egg, it splits, then it splits into a certain amount, then it splits again, then it can't split no more, even though technically it could.
Yeah.
But physically it can't. There's a outer limit.
Okay.
And
okay.
on the tree of life thing, there's, you know, where they talk about pi and phi, where the circle changes from a pi dimension to a phi dimension, comes in anyway, you can't stop it when you're expanding it. and that's exactly what's happening. It's going to happen anyway, but it might not be exact, but it's the same thing, and it will come back true further down the line in infinity.
All right.
I think.
We think.
Yo.
All right, listen. That was another episode of A Muslim and an
Another
Outfit.
long one.
That wasn't even like a 20-minute video, you know.
Okay.
20-minute video. I thought that one was quite a long one.
I found it interesting. Like I said,
It
it
was
feeds
interesting.
my information bank a bit more clarity needed. But
all right, listen. We out.
Peace.